All right, this morning I'm joined by a very special guest, Christian Runza, the linebacker coach for the Michigan Panthers. Mr. Runza, how are you doing this morning?
Doing great, man. Thanks for having me on, Sam. I'm really excited to start talking some USFL ball with you today.
Absolutely. Is this your first interview since being hired by the USFL?
Yeah, it is. Actually, I think this is my first interview ever in coaching. So there you go.
Really? Wow,
Yes,
I would not have expected to hear that. So thank you so much for trusting us to come on and kind of tell your story. I appreciate that.
of course, man. Excited.
Absolutely. So I wanted to kind of start back in your background as a player. I thought it was very interesting when we were talking off camera. You kind of enlightened me to some things that I was not aware of. You actually played quarterback and linebacker in high school.
Yeah. So at high school, it was really more quarterback. Then I graduated my senior year I played defensive end my senior year. So I kind of did linebacker as a junior. Senior year played defensive end, but mostly was just quarterback. Just considering, didn't want to get hurt on defense. My coach didn't want to get me hurt on defense, all that stuff. But was in there in pass rush situations, defensive end, just kind of like a speed pass rusher guy. I wasn't really dynamic or anything like that. Kind of get in there and, hope for the best. But kind of got some experience playing on both sides of the ball, which I think helps me, for sure as thinking of it from a defensive point of view, because you always kind of want to think about what the quarterback's looking at on the field, all that stuff, and try and give your guy some pointers as where his eyes are pre-snap and post-snap and stuff like that, and what he's looking for, especially for that outside back or overhang position. That's normally one of the keys for what type of defense you're in. So I think that definitely helps out.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can only imagine having that quarterback mind on the defensive side of the ball helped you kind of attack offenses as well. So and like read and react and whatnot. With that in mind, you ended up attending Monmouth University originally as a quarterback, and then you transitioned to linebacker. What was that transition like for you in college?
Well, first of all, don't mean to correct you too much or anything. Monmouth. All right.
Sorry about that.
Got to make sure my guys get the proper shout out back there. So came in as a quarterback, and I was always a bigger quarterback, and in high school, I was more of a running quarterback. I was lucky to throw the ball 8 times in a game. And if we threw the ball eight to 10 times in a game, we were probably not winning, so we were more of a ground and pound, like a pistol wing T type of team where I'm running the rock, reading a bunch of read option stuff, and more of a bigger dude. I was always a bigger guy. And then coming into college, same thing. I was about 215, 220, as a quarterback at 6 feet tall. So thicker dude, not your prototypical quarterback. We'll say that. So felt that I was just as strong as a lot of the linebackers in the weight room, with lifting and stuff like that. And I had some experience doing it in high school. And to tell you the truth, I wasn't a very good quarterback. I wasn't a Division I college quarterback. I firmly believe that. I did it in high school, some linebacker stuff, and wanted to get in the field on special teams. I didn't go to college to be a 4th, 5th string quarterback and give signals all game. You know what I mean? So got on the bus as a sophomore because I was a long snapper, was a starting short snapper on field goal. So that's the only reason why I was on the bus. But it worked for me, and then junior year, before my junior season, kind of talked to, our head coach, Coach Callahan over there, and, mentioned that, hey, man, I know I'm not going to play at quarterback. Why not give me a shot at linebacker, play some more special teams and stuff like that. And as a junior, kind of developed a little bit more and was more of a special teams guy for sure. And then senior year, kind of worked my way a little bit into the rotation, but again, mostly a special teams dude for my career. So for me, I believe special teams is extremely important, and especially being a linebacker, you better be on every special team. And in the USFL with a limited roster, everybody's got to be on special teams. So got to find your role and do it to the best of your ability. And, for me, that was special teams.
Absolutely. I love that you pointed out that fact, because if you look at the players who signed and stuck in the NFL, they all played special teams. Maurice Alexander, Kavonte Turpin, Micah Abernathy, Ramiz Ahmed. You look at all these different guys that stuck with teams, they're special teams guys. And that's where you find your value. You might be an amazing offensive player, but you'll never get a shot if you don't at least try to play special teams. So
that's right. It's the first one on the bus. Always the first one on the bus.
Yep, I completely agree. And that's such a great point to have, and a great background for you to impress on these players that you're coaching this season.
Hopefully so. I'm hoping so.
So with that in mind, obviously We spoke about how players do many things with the USFL. Are you assisting the special teams at all this season?
We haven't gotten that far into kind of the coaching plan with special teams. But I have, I probably will end up working with the long snappers, just considering that the staff's pretty limited. And, I coached long snappers at Towson for 4 years, and I did it in college as well. So definitely want to help out with those guys for sure. Because I really do enjoy working with the snappers. It's kind of a little different, a little fun. And plus, I'm always willing to help on special teams. At Towson, I had a ton of special teams experience, working with our special teams coordinator and working with different units and stuff. And I would love to continue that because, one day, obviously, being a special teams coordinator is something I would really like to do, continuing to learn the scheme and all that stuff behind it. So,
absolutely. I love that answer. So obviously, you're a former player like we just spoke about, playing primarily special teams. Do you feel like your background as a player in this scenario helped your transition to coaching?
Yeah, because for me, who I was as a player is who I am as a coach. I'm not going to be fake, and I'm not going to try and be someone different. I firmly believe that in my values and who I am and what I do and what I believe in. And if that's not what you believe in as a head coach or whatever, then I may not fit who you are, and that's okay. But for me, I was a high energy player. I'm extremely passionate, and you're gonna know it on the field. I'm gonna be the loudest one on the field. I can guarantee you that. I'm gonna be the one that's celebrating with my players when they make plays, right? I'm gonna be the one that you got to hold me back on the sideline when my guys make a sack or a TFL on a third down. That's because that's who I always was. And I'm gonna continue to do that. I'm also, the biggest things that I believe in as a player are stuff that I now try to instill in my room as a coach. For me, I was a walk-on, so I believe in that walk-on, hard-nosed. We're working our butt off mentality every day, right? You need to earn everything that you get. And that's what I've already spoken to all the players, and they are on board. And that's what we're going to do. Our room is going to be the hardest working room. We are going to work our tail off every day, and we're going to treat people with respect, and then good things happen to good people. And that's kind of the way that we're going to roll. So work our tail off, treat people with respect, do good things for everybody, and good things will happen to us.
Absolutely. So you spoke a little bit off screen about some of your influences in coaching and how you ended up ultimately deciding to be a coach. At what point in your college career did you know coaching was something that was going to be in your future?
I wouldn't say I necessarily thought it was going to be my future. It was something where it was always mentioned to me by, teammates and a couple of coaches like, hey, man, I think you'd be a great coach, but my college coaches gave me the great advice of saying, do not become a college coach. Because of the lifestyle you live. And it's a little bit different. Obviously money's real tight in the beginning of your career until you kind of start to build those connections and, hopefully get your shot somewhere. But so in college, I was a finance major. After college, I spent 9 months on Wall Street. I was a sales trader for hedge funds. I got all my Series 7, all my certificates and licenses, and kind of started in the business, and really just knew it wasn't for me. I woke up with no purpose every day. And every day that I was in the office, I was thinking about football. I really was. I was watching film. I was drawing plays. I was trying to do anything I could to get that, little bit of football in me every day, because I missed it so much. And, one day I ended up calling up Jeff Gallo, the offensive coordinator at Monmouth University, who is a big, big mentor for me. And he made some calls, and obviously a bunch of other guys in the Monmouth University staff, Kevin Morris, our former OC, who was my quarter coach, Andrew Kirkland, my linebackers coach in college, and TJ DeMuzio, who was our wide receivers coach in college. And, those guys really, really helped me, get to where I am. And they gave me a bunch of advice and eventually made some calls and hooked me up with someone at Towson, who, talked to the defensive coordinator, Eric Daniels, for me, and they were looking for someone right now, and I was like, I mean, I'll move there right now. I don't care. I'll do it for free, whatever. So I worked for free for 2.5 years as a defensive quality control analyst and assistant linebackers coach underneath the former defensive coordinator at Towson University, Eric Daniels, who is now my biggest mentor. That is my guy, man. That is my guy. So I worked my tail off for him and for Coach Ambrose, the former head coach at Towson University, for 2.5 years. And I was really fortunate to get the bump up in 2021 to full-time linebackers coach, and did that for the past 2 years. And, not many people hire a 24-year-old to be a Division I position coach. So for me, I'm extremely grateful, and And I'm forever in debt to Coach Ambrose. Obviously, that's my man. And to Coach Daniels over at Towson for bumping me up, and giving me a shot, because, like I said, it's pretty tough to tell the athletic director, hey, I'm going to hire a 24-year-old to be the linebackers coach here. So just kind of took the opportunity and ran with it. But, really fortunate for those guys. And, it was a lot of hard work paying off, a lot of sleepless nights, man, a lot of nights sleeping in the office and to get that gig. So it was really, really good opportunity, and really happy that how everything turned out.
Absolutely. We're going to back up just a bit. But prior to your time at Towson as a coach, you ended up spending some time consulting with your old high school, mentoring the quarterbacks and linebackers, which I thought was kind of an interesting combination. But given your experience, it makes a lot of sense. What was it like coaching quarterback and linebacker at the same time?
It was cool. You kind of have to flip a switch when you're working on your offensive day or defensive day in high school, But for me, I was just trying to give them little pointers of what helped me, because that was really early in my career. Schematically, I wasn't like, hey, this is what we're doing and all that stuff. I wasn't really sure. For me, it was kind of little things that helped me in my career, just giving them little pointers here and there, because I was working, the offensive coordinator who was the head coach, Brian Dunn, who was the head coach in my high school, Brian Dunn. He works with the quarterbacks as well. So it was kind of me just, helping out and giving little pointers here and there. Let him go take the full offense. I'll just work about the quarterbacks kind of thing. And defensively, same thing. Joe Klaus, the defensive coordinator, and again, same staff that I played for in high school. So it was really easy transition for me. But again, just little pointers and little tips to kind of help out the guys on both sides of the ball with things that helped me. Obviously, it definitely helped me, learn how to interact with players and interact with, younger people than you, and trying to mold them, which helped me, at the next place at Towson. But, forever grateful to those guys as well, because those are my guys, man. That's where I really, fell in love with the game for the first time. So with those guys in high school.
Absolutely. So I'm curious, you've coached quarterback, you've overseen linebacker. We talked about your comfort with special teams. Is there any position you wouldn't feel comfortable coaching if you were asked to?
Would not feel comfortable?
Yeah.
I'd probably say corner, just because that's one position that's kind of outside the box on their own thing. I feel like corner is a position where you almost have to play it to really, really understand what goes through the mentality. I mean, you're out there on an island, it's most coverages you're going to be in, you're going to be man. Even though you say we're in cover 4 or whatever, cover 4 is man on the outside, most of the time. So it's a tough place to play, and for me, obviously it's a lot more technique than a lot of their positions. Schematically, it's going to be pretty easy, but technique wise, it's going to be tough. So something I never really had the opportunity to do. I wasn't blessed with speed or all that athletic ability to be out there on the edge, but that's probably someone I'll have to go with an outside hire for that position rather than me.
That's completely fair. That's completely fair for sure. I'm curious, when you were in college, was there any interest in moving to running back, or was it just linebacker all the way?
It was linebacker all the way. We had some pretty dang good running backs. Sam Dorsett, the running back coach at Monmouth, is a legend. In my opinion, he's the best running back coach in FCS football, without a doubt. If you look at his resume, not a single guy can compare to his resume at the FCS level. He has had 3 All-Americans. He's had the nation's leading rusher twice. He's had first-team all-conference players just about every single year. And the guys that I play with are pretty dang good too. My senior year, we had the Pete Guerrero, who was a freshman All-American that year, who's now playing for the New Orleans Breakers. And then the year after I graduated, or 2 years after I graduated, he goes and rushes for 1,995 yards and leads the country. So I wasn't going to rush for 1,995 yards. I can promise you that.
That is completely fair. Well, you spoke on one player that you played college ball with that's now in the USFL. You told me off screen there's a couple more, one of which is Kenji Bahar, who you have to go up against in week 1. What are you telling your guys about facing Kenji Bahar, who's an extremely mobile quarterback?
We got to win. There is no other option. The first thing we talked about on the phone with my guys is, hey, we're playing my boy week 1. He's the quarterback for the Gamblers. We got to win this one, man. I need this one, because once I got the job, and I texted in our group chat, the first thing he said is, "We're playing y'all week 1. Let's go. We're going to put up points." We're talking smack back and forth, all that stuff. So this is going to be a big one. I don't want to give away too many tricks of the trade. I don't want Kenji to know kind of what my mindset is going into it, obviously, with how to beat him schematically and stuff. But we'll watch more tape and go through it. But, obviously wish him the best of luck, man. That's my guy. That's my boy. He was our starting quarterback in college and one of my closest friends. And we've gotten even closer after college because me being in Towson, I live in the Baltimore area. He's from the Baltimore area. Had a quick stint, played a couple years with the Baltimore Ravens. So he's been over here for a while, and we've been able to really, hang out a bunch more than we would have if I was back home in New Jersey. So it's been a blessing to be able to continue to hang out with him, and it's going to be really, really cool to play against him week 1, April 16th, baby.
Absolutely. How big of an influence, if any, was he on you coming to the USFL?
It was one of those things where him being in the USFL definitely made me know more about it, because last year I was locked into every game he was playing. I was watching every game he was playing. So I was able to watch a ton more USFL because of it. And obviously, I love football just as much as the next guy, and I'm going to watch it all spring long. And I'm watching the XFL on TV every day. But when there's someone that that's really playing and really having some success, there's a little bit of extra motivation to watch. And for me, I was tuned in every day, every time that he was playing, I was tuned in. So this job was something that there's no way I could have passed on it. I'm really excited about this opportunity, but he definitely helped me with understanding more about it, and the rules and all that stuff, because kind of having some background from the year before.
Absolutely. I can only imagine that helped. Prior to Kenji's involvement with the USFL, you said you're a big football guy. Were you watching other alt leagues, the XFL in 2020,
yep.
AAF?
AAF, yeah. So the XFL, actually, one of my other former teammates was on the New Jersey Generals. Jake Powell is a tight end for them, played tight end for us at Monmouth. So I was locked into that, watching that all the time. And then before that, when the AAF, my roommate in college, my guy's probably going to be the best man in my wedding. Our center in college, Alex Thompson, played for the Arizona team in the AAF. So actually me and two other my roommates in college, we flew out for his first game to Arizona, stayed the weekend with him and watched him play, watched the first game of the year out there in the AAF. So we were actually at the AAF opener in 2019 it was. So got a lot of experience watching spring ball. Like I said before, man, any amount of football, I'd love to watch it. So I'm always here for more leagues and more ball, man. More ball, more opportunities for everybody, and more opportunities for us to watch and enjoy the great game.
Absolutely. You have a unique perspective on this. When you came out of college, these opportunities were not necessarily available to you. So, they came around a couple years when you had already kind of started your college career. So I can only imagine that, not your college career, your college coaching career. Sorry about that. Mm-hmm. But so I can only imagine that you have kind of a unique perspective on these leagues.
Yeah, for sure. Because obviously I just think it's more opportunity for players, more opportunity for coaches, and to be able to work with people and learn and grow and experience professional football. Obviously for me, this is my first experience with any sort of professional football. And I'm excited to see the difference because, in college, it's obviously a lot different. And it's kind of to see how you interact with the players is going to be different. And your weekly activities, you don't have to worry about class checks and getting guys to class. And, do you have class at this time? Okay, we can't meet. No, that's not a thing anymore, So I'm really excited to see kind of, what the difference is and get the ball rolling here.
Absolutely. So obviously we just completed the first ever USFL 2.0 college draft. What are your thoughts on the draft class, and what are you telling these guys? Are you encouraging them to oversee or exhaust all NFL opportunities prior to coming to you? Are you telling them, hey, I want to see you as soon as I can? What's your perspective on this?
Well, first of all, I got my top 2 linebackers in the draft, so I'm extremely excited about Santrell Latham and Deshaun White. Their future. To us, we want to, you want to draft guys. It's a very different than the NFL draft. People think that you're trying to draft the top guy. No, if we go out there and we draft Bryce Young in the first round, we're never going to see him ever, right? Because you're drafting their rights. So you kind of draft guys that are those tweener guys, right? The guys that are late round draft picks, maybe 5th, 6th, 7th round draft picks, maybe undrafted free agent guys, and mini camp invite guys and hoping that, you don't never want to hope for someone not to make it to the NFL, because our goal as coaches in the USFL is to get players to the NFL. I'm going to be rooting for Deshaun and rooting for Santrell to make it. I want them to make it because that's going to make us look good. You know what I mean? That we get drafted these guys and they're really good players and they're going to go play in the NFL. And I'm telling them, hey man, do your pro day. Go talk to all these teams. Go take your visits. Go do whatever you need to do, right? And make your decision from there. If you don't get drafted, I think this is a great opportunity to go get 10 games of tape. Go play 10 games, get some tape, because the only way, and also you're going to get better as a player, man. The only way you get better is by getting reps. So it's some opportunities, it's in some instances, it's going to be better than going to the NFL as a practice squad guy or whatever the case may be. But if you get drafted, you're going. Go to the league, man. Go to the league. Have your fun, man. Do whatever you can to stay there and make a good living for yourself and for your family, right? And have fun doing it. But if you get cut and it doesn't work out, hey man, we're here for you. We want you to play for us. So it kind of goes both ways where you're out. It's a weird situation because, like I said, you don't want to root for someone not to make it, especially guys that you care about and you draft. We want all these guys to make it. We really do. We wouldn't have drafted them if we didn't think they were good people and good players. So we are rooting for all of them. But if it doesn't work out, come play for the Panthers, man.
Absolutely. And if anything, what you just said there is the exact reason why the USFL needs to be around. You're giving guys opportunities to progress. Some of these guys will bounce around NFL practice squads their entire career from week to week to week and never have a chance to build on what they learned the week prior. They're going to go into a new scheme, a new system, have to relearn everything they just learned. With the USFL, that's not the case. You're going to go to the USFL, you're going to be with one of these teams for 10 games, you're going to continue to develop, and then hopefully with everything goes correctly, you're going to be in the NFL in 2024 or 2023. So it's one of those things where I personally think that this is a great opportunity for a lot of guys to have in their back pocket. And you head into the draft playing with house money, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, you have an opportunity to play if you don't get drafted. What more can you ask for as a small school player?
And that was the first thing I said, man. Say, man, congrats. No matter what, at the very least, it's an opportunity to play ball again. No one's guaranteed another game. You're never guaranteed another game. And now these guys, they do have another opportunity. So for them, it's obviously an exciting time. Kind of take some weight off their shoulders. Obviously, they want to go to the NFL. We want them to go to the NFL, but at least they got something to fall back on just in case. And for us, I mean, 54 USFL players from last season, ended up getting invites to a roster this summer for camp, right? And 4 were from, or 12 were from our team. 12 are from our team, So, we're putting guys out there too, and that's kind of our pitch is, hey man, we're going to do everything we can to get you there. We got the connections, Coach Nolan's got the connections. Steve Kaiser, our GM, has the connections to get you there, right? So we'll be able to do everything we can to get you a shot.
Absolutely. Let's speak on that real quick. I talked about it with you off camera a moment ago. The USFL lost 4 head coaches this offseason, and they brought in 4 of possibly the best free agent coaches you could have asked for. John DeFilippo won a Super Bowl in 2017 as the quarterback's coach with the Eagles. Ray Hortons won 2 Super Bowls as an assistant coach with the Steelers in, I believe, 2005 and 2008, and then won as a player in 1993 as well. You look at Mike Nolan, great defensive mind, probably one of the highest respected defensive minds in my generation. In terms of coaches I've watched since I grew up. And then on top of that, you have Curtis Johnson over there with Houston, who, again, won a Super Bowl with New Orleans in 2009. So amazing group of coaches. How big of a impact on you was it to work with Mike Nolan, who you get to learn defense from?
It was everything. That was when I got the call from Coach Nolan, I was a little starstruck, being, football a lover like myself, man, you got to know who the greats are, and he's one of them. So he's a guy that's won multiple Super Bowls, and he's a guy that's been a defensive coordinator in the NFL for 18 years and had a ton of success. So for me, the experience just to learn from him is invaluable. And just to be able to pick his brain about being a coordinator, why you call things in certain situations, why you have this little adjustment to the coverage or to the alignment than previously, and what makes you do things and what makes them tick. I think that's going to help me, exponentially for my career. So I was when I got the call from Coach Nolan, and I was extremely fired up for the opportunity. Obviously, being in a league like this, you're going to be playing great competition every week. And then to me, there's no one as a defensive guy, as a linebackers guy. There's no one better to learn from in this league. No offense to anybody else, right? Obviously, there's a ton of great, amazing coaches in this league. But for me, where I'm at, I think learning from a guy like this is going to really, really help me out in my career. Just to understand football a lot more. I mean, obviously, I'm a young dude. I'm 26 years old, man. I got a lot to learn. I have a lot to learn, and I know that. And I'm hoping that he's really going to help me in my career.
Absolutely. As you just stated, you're very young. So is the USFL an opportunity to where you think you're going to stick around? You'll be here for multiple years to build on your career?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the situation and the opportunity and kind of what happens after this season, because it's a 4-month gig. I don't know if I'll be able to afford to go into the whole next year, right, without getting paid. You know what I mean? So it could be one thing where, go get an analyst job or something else after the year, and then you kind of come back for the season after the year's over, after the fall's over, or I'm not sure how that works, but it kind of just depends on also, obviously, I hope Coach Nolan wants to bring me back next year. That's going to be number one. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but whatever opportunity comes next, man, I'm just going to be really grateful for this opportunity in USFL. I'm not really sure what's going to happen after the season. I would love to be back, obviously. Being in this league is something that, like I said before, it's extremely exciting opportunity, and I couldn't be more excited for it. So,
absolutely. So, speak on the challenge it might be for you to coach some guys that are possibly a couple of years older than you.
The good thing is at Towson, I was always a younger guy too. So I have experience coaching guys older than me. My first year at Towson, there were 5 guys or 6 guys on the team that were older than me, right? So and then with COVID, everyone getting an extra year, it just continued to grow and snowball, right? So, I mean, as a position coach, there were guys on the team that were still older than me, that were 25 and 26, because I was 24 when I got hired. So I have a little bit of experience doing it, obviously not to this extent with guys that have played in the NFL and have really good experience and all that. But for me, I know what I am and I know what I'm not. And that's what I tell the guys. I know that I don't know everything. I'm not a guru, and I'm not going to act like I'm a guru, and I'm not going to scream and yell and curse at you when you mess up, because who the heck am I? That's kind of my point, is who am I to yell and scream at you, right? We're going to do this together. This isn't like, obviously I'm your coach, and, I have to gain the respect of the room, and they have to, listen and stuff like that at times, but I'm not going to be MFing people and running around and screaming at people for little mistakes and stuff. We're professionals, right? We're going to do this together. We understand the expectations, right? And I'm not going to, have to, I hope I don't want to raise my voice too much to the point where I don't want to talk down on people. That's not what I do. That's not who I am. That's not who I always was. And as a player, that's not, what helped me get better. So that's not who I want to be as a coach. And that's kind of what I like about the professional level, is it's more coworkers, right? Than coach versus player, right? Obviously there are times where I got to control the room and, hey man, let's lock it in, but I'm not going to go out here and scream and yell at people just because I'm the coach, right? That's not going to gain respect to people. And especially as a younger dude, you're just going to lose respect before you gain respect by doing stuff like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love how you put that, because I think that's going to resonate with your players in 2023 and beyond. So obviously you spoke about it very briefly there. Coaching under Mike Nolan is obviously an opportunity for you to develop in your future and eventually, hopefully run a defense of your own. So past running a defense of your own, do you have aspirations to eventually be a head coach?
Yes, for sure. That I would hope that would be my end goal in this profession. I've learned from a bunch of great head coaches so far in my career, whether it's playing or coaching. But to me, whatever opportunity comes in the future, I'm just going to take it and run with it. And continue to build and to get where I need to go. But obviously that's a long way down the road. Don't want to think too far from there, but lot more learning I need to do before I get there.
Absolutely. Which, I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's part of the reason why you would want to work for a guy like Mike Nolan. He's been there, he's done that, so what better guy to learn from as a defensive mind yourself?
That's exactly right. You know, that was one of the reasons why I was really, really, fired up for this opportunity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, it looks like Pat popped in right at the last second. Let's see if he's got
There it
some
is.
questions to join us. How's it going, Pat? Sorry about the starting without you, buddy.
No, it's apologize for being late. I've been running around Atlanta right now the last hour and a half, so I didn't really get to sleep as much as I wanted to, honestly. So.
You're all good, man. I completely understand. With that being said, do you have any questions for Coach before I get back into mine?
Coach, apologize for being late.
All good, man.
Unfortunately, I'm not doing this full time yet, so I still kind of am at the whim of my clients. But biggest thing I wanted to talk about is the actual players, the linebackers that you'll be working with. Which one of them excites you the most? Because I think Frank Inda is one of the better linebackers in the league right now, especially his experience in the AAF and the XFL coming in.
For sure. I mean, look, I'm excited about all of them. The good thing about the room for me, and I don't want to give you the whole political answer, but I don't want to single anyone out. Obviously, Frank is one heck of a player. I've been watching film past couple of weeks, and I am excited about coaching this room. Both Frank and Terry from last year had great seasons. Those were the two guys that were the main guys for the whole year. Obviously, Frank's second in the USFL in tackles with 90 last year. I mean, he was all over the field. And you watch the film, and he pops out right away. Obviously, he's going to stand out. Extremely physical, runs well enough, does really good job with play recognition and getting his reads fast enough. He good block destruction, all that good stuff. But the thing that I'm most excited about him is he is a leader. He was the captain of the defense last year, captain of the team last year. And that's going to help me being a young coach, having a guy like that in the room to really help set the tempo of the room and help set the culture of the room, So I'm excited about the whole room. Got to speak with all the guys, all 5 of them on the phone, and they're real excited. I'm really excited. I think it's cool because a lot of them haven't had a younger coach, in their career. So a lot of them are like, hey, man, this is going to be a cool experience for both of us because we're going to do it together. It ain't going to be me it ain't going to be me coaching you. We're going to be doing it. Everything's together. How we set the culture of the room is together. How we practice is together. What do we want to do today in practice? It's going to be together. Like I said, it's going to be a collaborative effort, and we're going to have fun and work our tail off together to get where we want to go.
Awesome. Yeah. No, I'm really excited. Especially you guys picking up Patty Fisher from Northwestern. So anytime you got a Northwestern linebacker coming from Coach Fitzgerald, usually a pretty good player. So
for sure, and he's another guy with experience of being a leader everywhere he's been. Yeah. So got a lot of good leaders in the room. Really, obviously, really, really good football players, and for me, it's going to be a cool experience to get to coach those guys. I'm just excited, and I'm really grateful to be able to have the opportunity to work with them because I'm going to learn so much from them too. Like I said before, man, I don't know it all, and I know I don't know it all, and I'm going to continue to grow and learn with the rest of these guys, and we're going to do it together.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I kind of like this little youth movement y'all got going on right now in Michigan. So,
for sure.
Yeah. And I think it's good for the league. I think it's good, especially for a guy like Mike Nolan, who's kind of been out of the flux for a little bit. Liven his spirits a little bit.
Oh, I mean, he's way more energetic than you think, man. Getting to speak with him. I mean, he's an awesome guy. That's first of all, not only was it a great opportunity, but speaking to Coach Nolan, I immediately felt the love and felt, how good of a person he was from the jump. Our interview was a lot about just family, man. Tell me about yourself. Tell me about your family. What are your values? That's what he really cares about. And even during these, meetings, we're meeting on Zoom once a day and all that stuff. And he's like, hey, if your wife or girlfriend or you family, you have anything to do with them, do not come to this meeting. That's who he is. He's like, hey, man, we're going to be away in Michigan for 4 months. I need you to be with your family now so you can obviously focus up when you get there. He understands the importance of family. Whenever we're talking to him, he's talking about his grandkids or his kids and all that stuff. And to me, that's important. You want to be surrounded by good people. And he truly is a really good person. So, I can't be more grateful, obviously, for the opportunity from Coach Nolan, but he really is a really good person. And I'm excited to get to work for him.
That's awesome.
Pat, you can feel free to just rattle them off, man. I only have one more question for him.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of go down this rabbit hole, really. It's so how are you personally prepping for that stay in Michigan right now? Something we've seen in all alt football, especially, but you see it more in the XFL is the conditioning and whatnot. the team like the Battlehawks was on the field for 80 plus plays and looked pretty fresh, while another team, which team I think it was the Sea Dragons the other week, was their defense was on the field for 60 plus plays, and it was totally like you could see that drop off. That's always the biggest concern. That's probably my third biggest concern always, because first is offensive tackles, because there's not enough offensive tackles in the NFL. Second's quarterback play, and then third is conditioning on the defense.
Mm-hmm. Well, right now there's not much we can do with the players, considering they're all over the country, and obviously, I have one player right now who was just out of the country playing for the U.S. national rugby team. So I know my man Mo is going to be is in shape. He's running around doing all those great things with the USA rugby team. So, but for us, it's going to be more of what we do in practice and how we practice, right? It's going to be because we're going to be running from drill to drill, high-paced individual drills. For me as a linebackers coach and as a player, individual drill was the worst part of the day. That's the part you're going to be running around the most. You're going to be getting your real conditioning in and all that stuff. But so as a coach, I kind of implement that as well. We're going to break a sweat. We're going to run around. We're going to get a lot of our conditioning in early, right? Early in practice. And then once you're kind of gassed, for like a lack of a better term, you're gassed out in the beginning of practice. Now you got to work through it. And that's where your conditioning comes for when you get the team periods. All right, I'm a little bit tired. Now let's see how I work when I'm a little bit tired. They continue to grow on that.
Yeah. I know Sam talked to you about your college career a little bit. With you long snapping, are you doing any long snapping and special teams duties with the Panthers or though?
Yeah, I'll probably be. We haven't really got anything set in stone, but I'll probably end up helping out with the long snappers. And then special teams wise, I'm ready to work with whatever. I'm excited to work for to do whatever coach needs, and I have experience doing it at Towson as well. So special teams is something that's extremely important to me. It's how I got my career. My career was special teams, man. I wasn't I didn't play a ton of defense. I didn't play any offense. So I was a big special teams guy. So I'm excited about that.
It's always funny because, I played special teams semi-pro, like when I was in the service and whatnot, because I wasn't good. I'll be straight up. Like I wasn't good, but I could run down, be kind of that maniac. And it's always funny to find those guys who it's like, they always talk about getting rid of kickoff and punt, and it's like, man, like Larry Izzo, if you remember him, it's like, what's this guy going to do? This guy couldn't cover in line as a linebacker. All he could do
right.
A maniac, or I think it was Brian Brayman on the Texans and the Eagles. It's like those type of guys. Like you get rid of the kickoff, it's like, well, you might as well get rid of 3 roster spots because what are these guys going to do?
That's true. It's something that obviously you want to limit the injuries and all that. It does limiting the kickoff. I think the XFL kickoff is kind of cool. It's different. Obviously I was a big fan. I mean, I was the guy that was running down. I was the headhunter on kickoff too. Like that's kind of
remember.
Yeah. I didn't give a crap about my body. I'm gonna go run down and hit somebody. Like that's it. But that we're kind of getting away from that now. With the way the rules are kind of evolving. But there's always a place for me for that crazy guy that wants to go run down and kick off. I love that. So it's going to be hard to say goodbye to it at some point, but I think that's kind of where we're trending. So you kind of got to keep up with the times and kind of change your mentality about things. So
yeah, but I'm talking, you can't beat the wedge, especially.
No, I know.
Yeah, I think we're around the same age, and it's like, imagine being in like that 2004 range where your coach is like, yeah, like, you're going to see a bunch of big dudes down on that second level holding hands. Just put your head down and just go. And you're like,
right through.
Yeah, okay. So you're a 40-year-old man with a family. Why would this not be safe?
Exactly.
And then when you become like 25, you're like, dude, that was terrible.
Definitely not a good idea.
Yeah.
Definitely not a good idea. Like it's really good. I think what they're doing for the game is great. Obviously trying to limit the head injuries because that does have a very lasting impact on people. And it's something that you don't really think about, like you just said, till 4 or 5 years down the road after you're done playing. But in the moment, it's fun. I'll tell you that. In the moment, it's fun. But after it, you're gonna be struggling a little bit. So.
Yeah, I think I saw it on the Kelsey podcast where it's like, the manliest sport ever. It's like, okay, all these muscled up men go run to the 5-yard line and then hold hands and then just it's kind of like, yeah, this isn't weird at all, you know. And then I don't know. It was just I kind of missed the wedge. You know, for like a playing standpoint, I'm glad it's gone because you know if I had kids and they were on the wedge, I'd probably be a little bit concerned. But
Yeah.
you know, it's definitely a back in my day type story.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was the fullback on kick return, and I was the edge setter on kickoff. So
yeah,
I was doing it both ways. I know what I saw from both ways. A lot of contact. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Just a lot of contact, which is always fun. But
well, it makes you better too, you know. And yeah,
Sure.
I don't know. I think special teams is probably one of the most underrated aspects. And you know, I talked about this, and I've written articles about this, especially with these USFL guys and any alt football guy. Is you have a player who's a top, you know, 5 at their position, right? And maybe mostly offense, because I feel like your defensive guys all were on special teams. But you know, let's say there's a receiver, and they're like, you know, the fan base is like, why can't this guy get a look at the NFL? And it's like, well, he doesn't need to be a number 1 receiver in the NFL. He's going to be a number 5, and it blows people's minds when you say that. But like, well, he's so good, and I'm like, yeah, but if I'm signing him to the Cardinals, like, I don't need him to be, you know, DeAndre Hopkins. And I think that's such a crucial thing that even the stars in the USFL, like, granted, yeah, we'll look at Turpin like on his aspect, but they need to be able to cover kicks and be on kick return and punt, because if they want to be in the NFL, that's their you know, ticket to the league. So
yeah, right. And then I think all the guys are starting to realize that if you can't play special teams, you can't play in the league. And I don't care where you come from, unless you are the number 1 draft pick for that team, you're probably not going to be on special teams, but everyone else is. So, and the way to make a roster is special teams. That's it. I mean, in the NFL, it's 53-man roster. USFL, it's even smaller than that. So for us, you have to be able to play both. You know, if you can't play both, we're not going to keep you, because what value do you bring? Because there's another guy that's just as good at your position that can play special teams as well, right? So if you have to make yourself as you know, as marketable as possible by being as diverse as possible and being able to do multiple things. So that's kind of the tough part about it. Also, is you better be able to do everything, you know, because you don't know what they're going to ask you to do at the next level. So.
Well, you guys got a guy, and I don't know how much you'll work with him, Joe Walker. He's a receiver, but the guy was a former quarterback, and he held for you at some point as well. And like I think guys like that, in my opinion, are just so valuable to not only the team but the league, because now it's like, look at all the stuff this guy can do. It's a kind of cool marketing tool.
That's right.
You know, the Gamblers had Tyler Palka, who was their, you know, a quarterback at Gannon for a while. He played receiver, and and Sam, you interviewed the gentleman. Was he a quarterback at FIU? Cam Eccles Loper.
Yeah, it wasn't FIU. It was Texas A&M, but he played quarterback, wide receiver, bunch of different positions. TCU, sorry, not Texas A&M. My mistake.
I mean, that's my favorite thing about these all football leagues, is just seeing the versatility and everything.
Yep. And like, for example, Frank Ginda's long snapper.
Yeah.
Too. So I'm excited because I'm excited to also work with him on the side, help him out with snapping, all that stuff, because that's something where everyone needs an emergency long snapper. Everybody needs one. So that could be your ticket to making the bus and making the 53, you know, in the NFL. So hopefully we don't have to use them, obviously, you know, hoping our snapper stays safe. But if it does come down to it, he can do it as well. So again, just being more versatile.
Now, Coach, I don't want you to get too personal in your conversations with this, or, you know, and whatnot. What do you think Frank is lacking to get to the NFL level? Because I have my opinions watching the film a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I don't want you to, you know, discredit, because I do think he does have a place in the league. You know,
I agree, and he's been in the league, you know, with the, short amount of time with the Saints, and was with the Dolphins, obviously. So, you know, he has some experience there. I think a lot of it's been wrong place, wrong time for him, where he's been in some rooms where there's just a lot of linebacker depth. Watching the film, for me, I mean, he can play. You know, he can play. I think he can run sideline to sideline pretty well. I'm just not sure if it's that NFL well enough. You know what I mean? Of complete burst and sprint. Obviously I don't really know for sure. I haven't gotten my hands on him yet. Haven't been able to work with him one-on-one. So I don't want to speak down, obviously, like you said, or talk too much about it because I don't have a ton of experience with it. But I do think that, a lot of it also is luck and getting into the right room and getting into the right situation where maybe, you never want to root for a guy to get injured, but maybe the guy in front of you gets injured, then you get your shot, something like that. And that can help jolt your career. You never know what can happen. So you got to get lucky. But, I think he's going to continue to work his tail off, and I think he deserves another shot.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got the production everywhere he's been. Every time he's played full seasons, I mean, he's been a dude everywhere. So he just needs that legit shot in the league to really get a really good chance.
Yeah, I mean, definitely on the defensive side of the ball, especially in the linebackers, like that's someone that I'm like, I don't know if this guy could stick around, but I'm surprised that he hasn't been brought in for camp. And then, like, all it takes is a good workout in camp. You know what I mean? And
yeah. And the thing I think that sets him apart as well is he is so smart.
Yeah.
I mean, just football IQ, football knowledge is through the roof. And that's something that's really going to help him and continue to help him. Obviously going to continue to learn from Coach Nolan this year. And I'm going to work with him myself and continue to grow his knowledge and hope that he makes it.
Absolutely. Actually, I think your point about Ginda being in the wrong place at the wrong time is amazingly correct. I mean, if you look at his performance with Miami back in 2018, he had 22 tackles, 4 tackles for a loss, and a forced fumble in 4 preseason games, and still ended up released, unfortunately. So an amazing player, NFL caliber for sure. Hopefully he does ultimately get that opportunity. We got a couple of questions rolling in from some viewers. Krish asks, Coach, do you have any advice for up-and-coming and inspiring coaches?
That's a great question. I appreciate you tuning in, man. I think the biggest thing is just work your tail off, man. Just don't worry about outside distractions. Don't worry about what guys around you are doing. Just work as hard as you can at what you're doing and perfecting your craft. Be a good person and work your tail off. Those are my 2 core values that I kind of keep coming back to. But I believe good things happen to good people who work hard. And if you continue to work hard and just be a good person, it'll go a long way, man. It really will, because this whole business is about connections. And it's about building relationships with not only your players, but other coaches. And that's how you get jobs, is building relationships with other coaches. It is more about who you know than what you know, unfortunately, and that's in this profession. And that's something that I was told from the jump. And it's something that I learned really quick when our whole staff got let go this December and I was out of a job for the last 3 months, right? So it is all about who you know and not what you know. So continue to reach out to other coaches online. Reach out to me on Twitter. I'll hit you back. We can start building a relationship, man. I'm all about, doing that stuff because, again, I'm a young dude and I'm looking to build more connections. You never know what can happen 15, 20 years down the road just from a Twitter DM. I got a job interview at a Division I school this winter because of a Twitter DM from 4 years ago when I was a QC. Now the guy moved up, he's a Division I coach, and hey, come in for an interview, So you never know what can happen. Just continue to reach out, talk to people, build relationships, and be a good person, and you'll be okay.
I can definitely attest to the fact that he will hit you back if you hit him up on Twitter. That's how he ended up here. So, Krish, thoughts on players who play arena ball?
I don't have much experience with arena ball. I know there's it's a little different rules and all that stuff. Obviously, if you got good tape, you got good tape. You know what I mean? I think at the end of the day, if it's an opportunity to play, go play. If that's really what you want to do. Now, obviously, I think you do have to be realistic with it, though. You don't want to go into debt and never get a job and not, never get a full-time job and get paid not enough money to go play ball when you just got to be realistic with yourself also. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's good to have those friends in your corner like, hey, man, I think it's time to hang it up. You know what I mean? But it's also, hey, if you're working and you're grinding, you're doing a really good job at that level and you have some good opportunities to move up, keep going with it, man. Keep chasing your dream. But again, I think it is important to be realistic at times too, because I see a lot of guys that are going, just continuing to play and they're kind of like, they don't have a job. All they're doing is that. And it takes a toll in their life, and then, you kind of start life late. You know what I mean? Start building the money and saving up and all that stuff for retirement and stuff a little bit late. And then, you might screw yourself over later in your life. So It's kind of a balance with it, but if you love it and you're playing well, you got really good goals and aspirations, keep chasing your dream, man.
100%. And then one last question from the fans. Coach, do you think your team can make a run in the USFL this season? How are you going to prepare your team when the season gets closer?
Heck yeah. I do think we can, man. I do think we can. I think we got a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. And if you watch towards the end of the year, especially offensively, man, they got it rolling. They had it rolling towards the end of the year. You started to get some more camaraderie with the receivers and the quarterbacks. And obviously Reggie Corbin is a heck of a running back. And we're returning a lot of guys, man. We're returning a lot of guys. Defensively, we're turning almost our entire linebacker room, right? We're turning a lot of DBs. The D-line is a lot of new guys, all right? And watching from last year, I think, going to continue to build that room up. Just signed Robert Nemdici also, who was a former first-round draft pick. I think he's going to wreak havoc in there, up front and help our guys out, in the middle level right there for the linebackers. But I think we have a really good coaching staff who truly cares, and we have players that are really just are hungry. And I think that's what you need to make it. And to prepare as we get closer, obviously, just going to continue to practice and work our tail off and get the playbook down. I mean, from a coaching staff perspective, we're not trying to be too exotic in what we do. We want to be pretty simple for the most part. We're going to have our little change ups and our little tweaks to our coverages and our fronts and our blitzes. And we're going to attack our the blocking scheme of the offense and attack protections. But, we want them to go out there and play. Like, just go out there, fly around and play. We want to get your cleats in the ground, understand what you got in every play, and go play ball as fast as you can. Go make plays.
Absolutely. Pat, you got anything else?
No, that's really it. I think we could talk football, for about 4 hours. But
That's right.
I'm looking forward to the season. I've emailed the media people for the Panthers to go up during camp, so I'd love to sit down and just
For sure.
talk.
Always welcome, man. Always welcome. So
no, I appreciate coming to the league. I think the Panthers and just these teams need younger guys, kind of some fresh blood, who are just as hungry as the players and willing to leave it better than they found it. And I think that mentality is crucial for not just the USFL but the XFL as well, man.
For sure. That's kind of that's the plan right there. Leave it better than you found it, and continue to grow and learn with these guys, and hopefully they can make it to the NFL.
Yeah.
I got one last question for you, and it's kind of a toss-up. So, which teams do you root for, or is it just the ones that employ you?
All right. I got to say this because I'm born and raised in New Jersey, been a diehard fan my whole life. I cannot stand the sweatshirt, the hat, the flag, the Donovan McNabb jersey. I'm a Giants fan till I die. All right. So that's a big one for me. Obviously, if the Eagles call me tomorrow, I'm going, and I'm going to be the biggest Eagles fly guy you could ever meet. You know what I mean? But as long as I am not employed by an NFC East team, or I'm gonna be a Giants fan, you know what I mean, or an NFL team. Any NFL team, obviously, that's gonna be the number one, or any team that employs me, that's the number one. I was a Houston Gambler fan, I guess you could say, because of Kenji before I got the call to be working for the Panthers. So now I hate the Gamblers. I'm a big Michigan Panther guy. You know what I mean? So. But yeah, so I do have some favorites. Obviously, growing up, you gotta, being a football guy, you're gonna have a team. That's just how it is. But whoever I'm employed for is the team always.
Do you have an XFL
For
team?
example, this year, at Towson, we played against my alma mater, Monmouth, right? So that was a tough one for me. I mean, I was rooting for Monmouth. Obviously, I root for Monmouth every single game except for that one. You know what I mean? When we play them. So.
Sorry about that. Do you have an XFL team? I know you've been watching the games.
I'm a Houston Roughnecks guy. My boy is the linebackers coach over there. We worked together at Towson my first year. We were actually QCs together, volunteer quality control guys together in 2019. Now we're both linebackers coaches. He's in the XFL and I'm in the USFL. So pretty cool story right there. Shout out AJ Rizik right there, man.
That deserves an article itself. Has the school reached out to y'all at all?
Not really, considering they just they just let go of all of us. So I don't think they're going to reach out and brag about us too much.
Yeah, I mean, you could spin it. It's like from the ashes, in the XFL and USFL. It's like, come on, man. You can make it out to where they're not the bad guy.
Of course, it's a pretty cool story. Obviously, I'm
go and fly to the pros, and it's like,
yeah. I mean, it's a really cool story. He taught me everything I knew as a GA type, a quality control guy. I mean, because he's a couple years older than me, and he's had some more experience. I mean, when I came to Towson, I knew absolutely nothing. Like I was day one, no experience, nothing. There's a funny story. Me and he's my mentor, our defensive coordinator from Towson. He wanted to fire me after the first week of training camp because I was so lost with everything that was going on, and then he ends up, promoting me and hiring me 2 years later. So we always joke about it, but yeah, AJ and I, we go back a little bit. He was the first guy I worked with as a QC, and we've been close ever since. So I'm excited to see him doing big things in the XFL, and obviously going to be rooting for those guys. But I do love the DC Defenders and the crowd they got, man. The fans are awesome. Detroit fans, we need you like that, man. I want to see beer flowing from the stands. I want to see you guys going crazy in the stands, supporting us, all that good stuff, man, because what they got going in DC is awesome.
Absolutely.
It's funny. I think you guys kind of benefit from the Lions, obviously, because of how good they were. People are going to show up, but even if they went 2-15, I think people would show up anyway because they'd be like, screw this Lions team. Let's see what these Panthers do. So
that's true. There's a lot of excitement about football in Detroit right now. So, we're hoping to ride the coattails of the Lions, and obviously they had one heck of a season. And, it's one of those things where also, where can you get professional football for $10? I mean, let's get real.
Yeah,
I mean, the ticket prices are awesome. I mean, the VIP package for like $75 for the season. I mean, like there's a lot of good packages out there for fans that want to come to games, and it's really affordable. Which in today's economy, obviously, it's pretty tough to find something like that. I mean, you go look for a ticket for any professional football game. I mean, in the where I'm from in New Jersey, New York, I mean, it's like you're going to spend $150, $200 a ticket.
Yeah.
So. It's really, really cool that fans get to see really top-notch football and get to see some really good players. I mean, like we just talked about Frank Ginda for a long time. I mean, it's an NFL guy. There's a bunch of NFL guys on the team, so you don't really get that opportunity. And also, I think it's been more we're going to be able to interact with you more. Like I think it's a little bit different. It's a little bit less fancy like the NFL. You know what I mean? Like we're it's a little bit more blue collar, and we're going to be able to hang out with you guys. And hopefully, obviously, my door's always open, man. I'm always down to talk ball with people and all that stuff. So
very nice. Williams says Detroit fans over DC fans easily. Well, you guys better show out this season because DC.
I like it. I like where your head's at, man. Let's keep it up.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Coach. We really appreciate you coming on, man. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, learning more about your career. I personally think that you're definitely a name to watch. In fact, that entire Panthers staff, quite honestly, is a bunch of up-and-coming coaches who I think are future coordinators or head coaches somewhere, whether it's college, professionals. It's going to happen one way or another. So definitely excited for you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate the time. It was awesome to thank you for listening to me ramble for about an hour over here. So, but it was a great time, man. I really enjoyed getting to know you guys. And obviously, if you guys ever need anything, hit me up, man.
Yeah, I'll be up there at some point. So, and come say, hey, walk around, all that good stuff.
Yeah, let me know. Be awesome.
Thanks.
Definitely.
All right,
for
man.
Anybody who's watching, if you're a Michigan Panthers fan, this man below me, Analyze and Educate, not only does he have a YouTube channel, but he covers the Panthers for USFL News Hub, some of the best articles on the web. Personally, in my opinion, obviously I'm a little biased. I also write for USFL News Hub, but check him out to give us your opinion. Let us know what you think, but I definitely think he's one of the better writers on the market. Coach, once again, thank you so much for all your help joining us today. And then also keep in touch, man. I would love to have you back, hopefully right before a championship run.
Love to hear that, man. Love to hear that for sure. Let me know.
Absolutely. Hopefully my Stars fans don't kill me for that statement. All right. Have a great day for everybody who tuned in. Thank you so much for all the comments, and we will catch you in the next one.